we're here. We are here. We have adjusted all of our settings and we are hopefully fixed. The only problem is now I can't hear my own music, which I don't know exactly what the problem with that is, but I'll take what I can get. And if I can get improved audio quality, then I'll take it until such time as I figure out what the hell to do to fix the problem. So, hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. I'm a practical eccentric and I'm here to paint. If you follow me and you were with me on Sunday or have watched my stream from Sunday, then you may be surprised that I am not playing Dreamlight Valley tonight, particularly since the new content dropped yesterday. So the reason I am here is because, well, there's two reasons I'm here. Partially because I am particularly drained today. I am not as drained today as I was yesterday. But on a somber note, we had to say goodbye to our cat, which again, if you've been following with, for a while now, you might have noticed that he's had some health issues. He was over 18 and a half years old. He was diabetic. He had hyperthyroidism and just elderly. So it was time, and it's always sad. So I exhausted myself yesterday in dealing with that and then kind of trying to keep myself busy afterwards. Sometimes when you lose somebody or something like that, it can be really helpful to keep yourself busy. So I tried to focus on that, but of course being emotionally drained and then trying to keep myself busy just kind of wiped me out, which is okay. I mean, it was a lot. So I was like, I don't want to stream Dreamlight Valley tonight because I'm so drained, but also because I might fall asleep if I sit at the computer tonight. It's just a real possibility. And I was like, if I'm outside in the garage, well, not outside, out in the garage painting tonight, I will be less likely to fall asleep because I'll be more physically active dealing with painting. So, not to start on a super somber note, although I guess it was a super somber note, but I did want to get to the quote of the night. And the quote of the night is, "We do not remember days, we remember moments." And that's, I'm going to try my best, that's from Cesare Pavese. And it seems very fitting because, losing a pet like we just did, or losing a person, or aging, or, when you're kind of hit with memories, nostalgia, things like that, you're picking up on moments. I mean, very rarely are you going to remember a day in its entirety. You're going to remember pieces of that day or pieces of that time period or whatever. Like the vacation that my family and I took several years ago. And I couldn't tell you what we did every single moment of every single day, but I could tell you lots of the moments that happened. So like good things, bad things. We don't remember the whole day. We don't remember that day. We remember the bits. So I've been trying to focus on, the positive memories because our cat was aging, because he had health issues. There's a lot of recent kind of negative things, dealing with. If you've ever had an aging pet, then you know that, or an aging person even, there's a lot of things that come with, a body starting to decline, and you can focus on that stuff. So, especially when you're still dealing with it, but when you're dealing with the fact that they're gone, it's better to focus on those moments, you know, the moment that you brought him home, or the moment that the first time he crawled in your lap, or the first time you cuddled and purred them, or when you were playing with them, or, you know, he was such a smart cat and he did so many, like, just surprising things over the years. I mean, we had him pretty much since he was weaned, and it hit my husband particularly hard because he's been home with him pretty much his entire life. My husband was working from home, and then he got sick, and then we had kids, and he's been the stay-at-home parent. So pretty much for the last 18 years, with a few exceptions, he's been pretty much with this cat for his entire life. And so I knew it was going to hit him particularly hard. I knew it was going to hit me hard because I'm always sad when we lose a pet. And he was the last of the 3 cats that we had. We had 3 of them at one point for many, many years. And he was the last one. So I told my sons that, you know, we've talked about getting something maybe small, something in a tank or a cage or something like that. But because of the you know, his name is Dino. Because of his health issues, we really can't afford to have another pet, partially because of the, you know, like taking care of him, but also like the financial burden of it. It's like, I really don't want to do both at once. And then also, not that I think Dino would have gone after anything in a cage or a tank, except for maybe to play with it to death. But he was not an attack cat. But, I was like, you know, we don't necessarily need that going on. It was just a lot. So I told my husband we'd take a break from cats and give it some time. And my boys have been hampering for like a rat or a guinea pig or something like that. And we actually talked about a hedgehog, and then I found out hedgehogs are solitary creatures. So, but, you know, trying to focus on the positive things, you know, dealing with the strangeness of not seeing him, you know, and all the little moments it's going to get to you where you're like, oh, he's not there. Or, oh, it's not time for that. Or, you know, like this morning, not feeding him and giving him his insulin shot was weird. Like, I looked at the clock and I was like, oh, I have enough time to do X before 8:30 when I have to, oh, no, I don't have to do that today. You know, so, and then I was just like, okay, focus on the positives, like really, really get to those positive moments, you know, just to work through the grieving process. So that is why the quote is the way it is today. That is why it's a little bit more somber than usual. And that's why I need to paint instead of Dreamlight Valley tonight, because A, tired, and B, you know, making things and focusing your brain on stuff like that can be really helpful. So, hey, how are you? How you doing tonight? Hopefully, all my testing and tweaking of settings and stuff is working out, because I know that there were a lot of song transitions in there, and that's where my hiccups were coming in the last time I streamed out here. So, and you might be hearing cicadas. There's not a ton I can do about that. When I talk, the microphone might be picking them up as well. They've been insane this year, so. I've made a little bit of progress. I haven't been doing a ton of painting lately. I actually did more stuff towards like the technical side of streams and stuff. Just trying to finagle things to make them work better. I was looking back at my last 2 streams and realized that, like, I was like, why is this still so choppy? Why is this still not doing so awesome? And I realized it was before I had tweaked the settings, so I was like, oh, I should look at the next one just to see, and it looks like it did better. So, I'm on the right track, right? Okay, so, I don't know why I'm pulling all these out. I'm trying to see where I'm at. I did one color this morning. Interesting how the lighting changing. That side's done. Look at that. One whole side of one small piece is done. But I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just gonna set stuff to the side so that I can kind of reset. Which means things are getting really off progress-wise, but I don't give a shit. It won't matter in the end. Alright, we're gonna start with a big piece. I'm actually getting closer to the end of all my paints, so that's nice. Let's see, I've got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 5 is 46. I've done 46 colors. Yay! I also have, well, I'm not going to count those because it's a lot. So, what did we just do? I just did a pink and a blue. And I've got more silvers, blues, and red, pink category than anything else, so I might switch to a silver or gray. It's on this side. I'm seeing a gray, but not a metallic. So we'll go for a metallic. We'll do a silver. The other benefit of doing this is it's nice, you know, like a break for my brain. It's even more disappointing that I can't hear my music because I feel like I might not be quite as chatty tonight. Which, for your end, if you're here, or watching later, or whenever, you'll still hear the music, so at least there's that. But it would be nice to have something for me to hear. But one day I will figure it out or improve things to where I can hear things. I don't even know. There's like a whole glob of paint on the top there. So let's see if I can dig that out. So I have one of these brushes here. And it had, like, the inside bristles were tangled. I don't know what I'm gonna do about this. Oh my. There's part of me that wants to just pitch it, and there's another part of me that's like, is there a lot of paint on that? Should I use up the paint that's on the glob? The answer is just let it go. I don't want it to fall back in the bottle is the problem. Maybe if I twist it. Like twist the bottle just to break off the chunk. But it keeps trying to slip off the... Should just grab it with my damn hands is what I should do. Stop fighting it so much. Really should be looking to see if there's an encoding overload. It really shouldn't, because when I did all my tweaking and testing, and can't see it now because I'm trying to treat it like a spaghetti. I'm trying to twist, and it just will look at, there it goes. Finally, I've tried to make sure everything was as on as it could be. And like I had a bunch of windows open and videos playing and trying to stress the system to make sure that when the music was playing, it would not, because it was making everything lag is what it was doing. And I'm proud of myself. Because if you are on the YouTube side of things, you might notice that I am not using my generic thumbnails for my streams. And partially, I mean, they're still basic, not fancy. But they are fancier than they were before. So if you want to know how low tech, like my quote of the day series and stuff like that is I created that shit, and actually my starting soon, my break, and my ending screen all created the same way. My panels, is it the banners for the panels on Twitch, all created using Microsoft Word to create like this gradient circle thing. And actually, I think it's the thing that's behind. There's like a banner or something that's behind your live stream on your channel, or it's like at the very top where the video plays. If you go to my channel page. And then I just used a font that I liked. I created a reflection thing. Anyway, super, super basic. And then took a screenshot of it and made it into the screens we know today. So the fact that I'm even using anything besides that is kind of amazing. But the reason I'm so pleased with it is even though they're still really basic, I have started using a program called Inkscape, which I had been intrigued by years ago and didn't do anything with. So now I'm actually doing things in it so I can keep elements that I'm reusing to generate a thumbnail rapidly. So I created the thumbnail for tonight's stream out of elements I'd already used just so that I could be like, and plug this here, plug that here, plug this here. And then I did it. So yet another checkbox for me for things that used to be so intimidating I didn't bother and just used Microsoft Word and Paint 3D. So another little checkbox for me going, I know how to use Inkscape to make myself a thumbnail in like 5 minutes, even though it's still super basic. It's an upgrade, and I'll take every little upgrade I can get, because that's how you get better and better and better. It's the only way to get better is little steps. Where do I want to put this? I'm going to overthink things, I think. So just bear with me overthinking things. Yeah. I've got lots of metallics going on because I have lots of metallic paint. I've got some, what I call my whites. Now, they're mostly, well, I don't know. They're off-white for the most part. So I've got like a couple that are on the champagne side of things. I've got a couple, there's one I have called Icy White, although it's almost gone now because it's one of my mom's leftover paints. And it is like a blue-white. So it's definitely off-white still, but not off-white in like a beige way. But it's almost gone. And I've been torn about using them for these shapes. Because I'm still torn about how I want to go about dealing with the next step, which is going to be stencils and stamping and mark making. Because I'm still torn about doing almost a graphic thing. Like, do I want to stamp and mark all over the top with colors and then do more detail work in black and white? Do I want to stamp and stencil and all that in black and white and then do, I don't know. I feel like until I'm actually at that stage and have to commit to it, I'm just going to be like obsessively torn about which one I want to do. So we'll get there when we get there, right? Where do I wanna? Wow, this color is really translucent. Not that I really have a problem with that in a fundamental way, but still, like, did I actually paint that whole spot? Maybe. Alright, this is by one of these. It's by one of these. It's by one of these. This is how we overthink things. Let me count the ways. Okay, so if I kind of go... It's gray next to a silver now. That's okay. I'm also trying not to shy away from large sections. I actually thought about getting out a whole new project for tonight because it might be a little bit more exciting. This is a This is a long-term project, the one I'm working on right now. But I have other ideas for some other decor that I want to make. Because I've got above me, and I really should take completed pictures. So I took before pictures of my ceiling in here because I was talking about this scarf project that has turned out adequate. It's adequate. I wouldn't say I'm like super 100% satisfied with it, but I also feel like it's not done. So one of the things that I want to do for sure is I want to get some nice string lights. And I don't know if I want to do like fairy lights and put them behind the scarves. Or if I want to do like the big kind of, I don't know what you call those. They're like teardrop shaped, but they're kind of big. They look almost like small incandescent bulbs is what they look like to me. But they're LEDs, and a lot of times they're for outdoor use now, and so they're made out of plastic. The LEDs don't get super hot. They're supposed to either be shatterproof or at least not glass if they break. But the ones that I have found only come in like strands of 15 lights, and I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna be enough. I don't really need it for lighting. It's for atmosphere. But I could put like LED fairy lights like towards the ceiling on top of the scarves, so they would glow through the scarves, which I think would be really cool, but I'd probably need a ton of them. So the nice thing about, and a lot of them now have color changing things like a remote. Some of them are smart even. Not that I need to spend money on smart decorative lights, but I can fantasize until I'm actually ready to make a purchase. Fantasy me can live all day with the most awesome options. It's amazing what how things get funky in a garage. Like, it was vertical. How did it get something stuck to it? Like normally I'm like, oh, it's a bug, but sometimes it's just random, like, nature. Why is that there? Like a leaf part. There's nothing for you to stick to. But there you are. Okay, I've got this, like, gunmetal. I don't have any grays on this side. So this side it is. This brush seems small to me tonight. I don't know why. It's always small. I don't know why it seems particularly small. Weird. Brains are weird, y'all. Oh, that reminds me. That was another thing I did. So, ages ago, well, not ages, but like, I don't know, sometime over the last 6 months to a year, I started looking into emotes. Because although I don't have like, I want to be at this level at this time, and I want to be able to have these things at this time, and growth and content creation and all this stuff, that's not how I'm really going about it. But I'm like, if I keep on this path and I keep just doing stuff, and as I approach, like the next stage, like Twitch and YouTube both have their own measures for what it takes to get to, I think YouTube's is called like the partnership program, and then Twitch's first tier is affiliate, and they have different requirements to get there. But one of the things you do when you get to affiliate is that you can have access to your own channel's emotes. And so I was like, well, I'm curious, like, what does it take to make emotes or to get emotes or whatever? Because of course people make things and sell things, and you can pay for different services that offer all kinds of stuff to customize your channel and all that. And I was like, but I don't have the budget for that because this is a hobby for me right now. Like, it's still just a hobby. One day it might not be, but for me today it is. But like, what does it actually take? Because I've seen people create like their own emojis, and then also they use like clips of their face that make emojis, right? And there's animated ones and whatnot. And obviously there's ones that are just available to everybody through Twitch. But I was just curious, and I was like, wouldn't it be kind of cool to make my own little like pixel art? And then when I can have emojis, I'll just have some little pixel art emojis. So I started dicking around with the program called Piskel, and I enjoy it. It's fun to play with. And then I put it down for a while because it was feeling really tedious. Like, I was having fun, but I was like, this is a lot. And then I ended up watching a series of how-to videos, and it taught me a lot of stuff, like to use the tools and stuff. So I got back into Piskel and ended up making, I think there's 5 different emotes that I had come up with concepts for, and 2 of them are really easy. Like, one of them is essentially a heart, and the other one is essentially a hello, a hi kind of thing, because those are pretty good. Oh, and I think I had a laugh in there. And I have ideas. Yeah, I have ideas for all 3 of those. And then I also was like, well, what are the other 2 I could make? Because I think you get 5. I don't even remember. There might be more based on, like, there's like, is it called a subscription on Twitch? I always get confused on the terminology, which one goes with which platform. One day I'll be a professional and know what the hell I'm talking about, but not today. But I was like, well, there's at least 5. And 3 are pretty standard. You want a laugh reaction, you want a hello, and you want a, maybe that's not true for everybody, but I feel like those are pretty standard. When I want to use an emote, when I want to say those things, it's nice to have an emote just for like a shorthand, And the other 2 are brains are weird and words and stuff. And because I say both of those when I either get tongue-tied or when I make weird connections or comments, and then I'm just like, yep, brains are weird. So I gotten some stuff done and then fallen away from working on it again. But because I was doing all this other tech stuff, I was like, well, where was I on designing those? Because now that I'm using Inkscape, I can also potentially use that for emote creation. And so I went back into my Pixel and Piskel, and just to see what I had to work with now that I was working in Inkscape, and realized I'd completed something for Brains Are Weird, including being an animated version of it. I'd done a static version and an animated version, and I was like, can I just save that? And yes, I saved the static and the GIF version. And then I had my heart mandala that I made. Now, it wasn't complete, and I was kind of looking at it going, I don't even remember what the hell I was doing to create what I did, but I realized that even though it's incomplete, it's complete enough, and the way that it is incomplete, I actually kind of like it being complete now. Like, before I thought of it as incomplete, now I'm looking at it like, that actually looks like it's done. So I haven't made that one into an animated thing. I don't know if I will. I think the original plan was to do so. But yeah, so now I've got at least 2 completed. If I ever get to affiliate and have emotes, I have 2 emotes already. And they're saved so that if I want to, either dick with them some more or load them into the Twitchverse. I think it's interesting now that, like, YouTube is starting to incorporate some of those, what would those be called? benefits? I don't really think that's what they're called. But like, I know some of the channels I follow are like, yeah, if you you know, I don't think it's subscribe on YouTube. It might be subscribe, but the paid version. You join somebody's channel. Join, I think, is what the button says. You get access to their emotes, and I'm like, that didn't used to be a thing, because I remember people talking about one of the advantages of Twitch was that you could have like things like emotes. So I think that's funny. The evolution and the influence between the different platforms. I poured way too much of this silver, which is fine. It's just a lot. Maybe I'll fill this gap. I thought it looked too big at first. I'm like, I got a butt ton of paint and this is a big old spot. I might as well get rid of this big old spot with all this paint that I have. And although I don't want to be able to read what the box said originally, I like the fact that there's texture starting to develop because of the printing that was on here. And especially once it's cut up, it'll be even less. Like, the more layers that go on it, and when it gets cut, it'll just become background texture. But yeah, there's another decor project I'm really thinking about doing soon. If I burn out on this and I don't feel like going back to the glue books I'm working on, I want to make some, like, strings of paper hearts that I can either... I have a curtain in that corner to hide a door that's got issues and we don't use it. And it's got a curtain rod, and I want to hang things from the curtain rod in front of the curtain just to give it some more interest over there, because I had a friend comment that it looks like a shower curtain, and I'm like, well, it looks better than a busted fucking door. But, and mostly I didn't even really care about the pattern on the curtain that I picked out, because I got it from a thrift shop, and my goals were for it to be heavy duty enough to help protect against any kind of draft that might be coming through it. And I ended up having to buy two, because the one that was heavy enough was ugly and looked like a cat had climbed on it, because it's all got threads pulled out. Hold on. But the other one's kind of just like, it's a navy blue with a white graphic pattern. It doesn't have any color besides just the navy and then the white lines. But I didn't even realize that it was cactuses when I bought it. And he was like, yeah, it looks like a shower curtain. I'm like, well, I'll put shit in front of it. God dang it. I'm too close to my desk. But the little carpet that's under my desk doesn't really like to work with the wheels of the chair. Ugh. I want to cross my legs! You see how petulant I can be? Even in my 40s, and I'm still a petulant child. Meh. Oh man. I might have to take some ibuprofen on my break though, because my head... I've been having a headache most of the day. Probably from exhaustion. And, see if we can get it to leave me the hell alone during the second half of tonight's show. This paint is weirdly chunky. The only problem with this color is that because it is translucent, it's a little hard to tell if I've actually painted this spot completely. Like here, it doesn't look complete. But I have to just decide if it is enough. Because this silver almost looks white. Oh. I don't know. Oh. Gray. No gray. It's warped. It doesn't matter. Matter. Okay. Sounds like my mother-in-law is calling my husband. She has a distinct ringtone on his phone. Although I wonder if he's got it set for more than one person, because sometimes I feel like lately he's gotten phone calls from other people. I think he just likes that ringtone. Or you know what? Now that I think about it, I think he did set it for more than just his mom. Maybe it's somebody else. It might be coming out here. We'll see. I can mute the thing if you need me to. Okay, I'm gonna have to mute my voice. Give me a second. I will. Hold on.
I've got a little cigarette packers.
All right. He's talking to someone he hasn't seen in over 20 years. So we used to hang out with him and a bunch of other people. They were friends of my husband when we first met, and then there was a bit of a falling out, and then, you know, people started getting married and having kids, and, you know, once you start doing that, sometimes old relationships and friendships kind of can go by the wayside because you start living very different lives. And, you know, I just recently reconnected with somebody that I hadn't seen since my oldest was a baby. And it's just because we started doing different stuff and just really hadn't seen each other. A lot had happened, and then time just goes. I think it's interesting that every year I feel like the conversations at work with, like my coworkers, and there's volunteers that we have, every year it seems like we always end up with the conversations of how quickly time is passing. Today, there are two of them we're talking about, oh my gosh, it's almost September. This year has gone by so fast. And I'm like, I feel like we have this conversation like all the time now. Like how fast time goes. It doesn't feel like that, or it didn't feel like that to me when I was younger. And I know I'm not the only one because people, talk about, yeah, it didn't seem like that way when I was a kid, and, so it's like, I know I'm not the only one who feels that way, but it's just funny how that time passage conversation almost seems to become more regular and more, I don't know, like we're almost more surprised every year, even though it happens every year. So maybe there. It's such a. I have so much paint. I'm trying to use up as much of this paint as I can. Since I tried not to pour too much, and then I, of course, poured too much. It was really thick though. Pouring out. So yeah, there was somebody else that he recently ran into that we hadn't seen since we first started dating, and it sounds like he might be leaving, like moving out of the country. So my husband running into him kind of was a fluke. We were supposed to try and have like dinner with him soon, but I don't think he's nailed down when that is. But he is moving across the world. Like, he is leaving. Because I guess he's been staying over in that other country. So he's like, I came down to a choice and between here or there, and he's just decided that there's where he wants to be, which I feel like the timing must have been right for the opportunity to present itself. And I could definitely understand where it's like you move someplace, you fall in love with it, and it's like you feel like you get lucky with making like connections for a place to stay, and then it turns into more, and then you live there more than you live here, and then it's like now I have to choose, and I've really fallen in love with that other place. What are you gonna do? My husband and I would one day like to retire someplace not here. But when we talked about either travel, like doing like work that requires travel or moving someplace else entirely, my husband was like, I don't want to leave my parents. My husband is significantly older than me. And then his parents were older when they had him than my parents were. So like, I want to say they're like almost 20 years older than my parents are. And actually will be that way when our kids are older, because we were older. My mom was 20 when she had me, and I was 30 when I had my oldest son. So, yeah. So he wants to make sure he's around for them, which is totally fine. I don't mind living where we're living, but yeah. And we're not in any position to leave right now anyway. We're too established. What do I want to do? Do I want to put it here? I kind of want to put it there. Or actually, I kind of want to do here. And I kind of want to go up all the way. And I think I want to go over a little bit. Like just like a smidge. So we'll it'd be nice for my husband to kind of reconnect with some of those friends that we drifted apart from a long time ago. Had so many financial struggles and life-changing events that it's made seeing people very difficult. And then being like the stay-at-home parent for the last almost 14 years. Socialization, like trying to rekindle socialization or like meeting new people, it's just different. And so it'd be nice if you could rekindle some friendships from 20 years ago. But yeah. Wow, this one's... I have obviously not worked on this one in a while, because it's looking a little naked. But... it'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see him be able to do stuff again. Like, parenting is a weird gig, man. Just, you become a different person a lot of the time. And I've been trying to tell him that, you know, once we start catching back up financially and like every little grasp we make in financial progress leads, you know, like I wouldn't mind it if he would go out and like, okay, here's your $20 weekly going out budget, just go out and play music with people, or just go sit, because we have some places in town that they'll have like an open jam night. And I'm like, just go out and be you. Don't be dad, don't be husband, don't be the person that got sick and had to have multiple surgeries. Don't be that guy. Go out and be you. Just you by yourself. Go strike up a conversation and talk about the music you're listening to or whatever. Because, you know, you need some healthy interaction with some, like, people that aren't just us. Not that us being together is a bad thing. It's not. It's just nice to have an outlet that's not just, and now me and my family are going out, or now I'm going to the store for me and my family, or now I am, you know, performing function, you know, cleaning the stove, you know? Like, it'd just be nice to go out and be social. And anytime I go out and I'm social, not that I do that often, but I always feel guilty because I'm like, you know, he's been stuck for so long. So even the rare times that I do go out, I'm just like, I wish you had a friend to go hang out with occasionally sometimes too, you know? But we're getting there. Every little step. Right? Mostly forward. Mostly forward. And do I wanna do this all the way down. All the way down. Well, and he was, you know, kind of reminded me yesterday, partially because of the cat. It just, you know, reminding me of how many, not only friends that he doesn't see anymore, because of, for whatever reason, you know, life changing, but he's also had a lot of friends pass away, you know, where suddenly you hear, oh yeah, so-and-so. And the older you get, the worse it gets. I had a friend once who told me her mom would read the obituaries in the newspaper all the time to see if anybody she knew had passed away, because she was, I think she was in her 70s at the time, so she's like, all my friends are or just people I know. So, because I really hadn't thought about it in a while, just how many friends we've lost along the way, and I was like, you know, you need to call people. You need to track some of these people down. And be proactive. It can be hard when you're in a rut to be proactive. See, again, I want to cross my legs, and my desk is like just, I don't know, like 4 inches too short for my legs to fit under cross-legged. But I sit cross-legged all the damn time. Do I want to paint on this side? This side is more full, but it's got a gray that's not metallic. I don't care enough. Ah, freaking hell. I'm gonna be bitching about that all night. I display petulance repeatedly tonight, apparently, but I'll just have to deal with it because I don't think I'm gonna stop. Just gonna have to accept it. All right. I'm sure I can hear him chatting, so I'm like, what story is he telling about me right now? Because I can hear him. My wife. I'm like, what are you saying? Oh, that is a true story. True story. He's talking about the fact that our speaker is having trouble recognizing my voice lately. So then I speak in different, like, I speak up high and I speak down low, and then it usually recognizes me. So every time it happens now and it responds to the different voice, I just am like, fucking bitch. Every time. Partially because I sound a lot like my son. I'm hoping that as he gets older and his voice actually deepens, because I can tell it's going to. It's changing right now. And when it's not being kind of squeaky, I can tell it's going to be deeper. But yeah, I sound a lot like him, and for some reason it doesn't like to like turn on our smart lights for him. So it registers in the voice that he picked, so I know it thinks I'm him, and I'm just like... But yes, it's become a running joke now, where when I finally get the speaker to respond to me, I'm just like, fucking bitch. Makes me feel better. I also say it mostly in jest, even though it sounds like I'm annoyed, because I am. It's a way to relieve the annoyance. Alright, I need to deal with this can. I brought a backup drink. I'm just gonna stick that there for now. You look at my empty can. And you'll look at my fresh can because I'm opening it right now. So glad tomorrow's Friday. Oh, I really need to take it easy this week. I just remembered. So I will be working after Friday and after this weekend. Let's see, I work 5. Did I take Thursday off? I don't think I took Thursday off. I think I just took Friday and then the Monday, Tuesday after. So that means I'll be working 5, 6, 7, and then 4. So 11 days in a row, and then I get a 5-day break. Which is fine. I do it every year. Because I pretty much man... Apart from, like, I do it in partnership with the store. So I work in the library, and then the store team participates in the sale with me, and they man like the registers, and then they handle all the, you know, the financial side of things. But I'm the only person from the library that is there for the duration, so I'm pretty much there for the entire sale, with the exception of like a few hours later in the evening on like breaking. But I'll be there for the rest of it, so then I take all the time that I work extra off the following weekend. So it's gonna be a long weekend, or a long week and a half. I'm asking too much of my brain. I should just stop rambling and paint. Shut up and paint, woman! I have to give him shit for how loud he is out there. He's like, well, I don't want to talk out here, we'll talk out there. I'm like, you're still loud. I can hear you better right now than usual. Uh-oh, hear voices. I have to remind him to the kids to bed. The kids have an earlier bedtime now. Oh, so that's the other thing I could report on. I've actually been getting up between 5:15 and 6 every day, with the exception of yesterday, because I slept on the floor the night before, because that was the night that our cat took a turn. So I slept on the floor with him for most of it. I ended up waking up at 5 and going, I can't, my hips are hurting too bad. I'm going to have to, because I have a hardwood floor. I had blankets down, but my hips were just dying. So I was like, well, I'll just lay in the bed for a little bit. And the reason I didn't put him in the bed with us was because I really couldn't protect the mattress. I didn't have anything like significant to like shield if he had an accident, because he was in a state where he was not going to be able to get anywhere to relieve himself. So I was like, well, I'll just sleep on the floor with him so he doesn't feel alone. You know, I could pet him, and I could, you know, make sure that he knew I was there, take whatever comfort he could in that. I did that for my other babies too. And I was younger then. Not that much younger, but still, my hips were not as angry back then. But time has no mercy for the hips. So I woke up at 5, and my alarm goes off to get my older son up at 5:15. So I was like, well, I'll lay down for 15 minutes, and then I went to get my son, and I was like, I am so exhausted, because even though I did sleep on the floor, it was not a restful sleep, you know? Keep trying to cross my damn legs. Here I am doing it again. This side is looking so similar to itself. Like, I don't know what it is about this copper, this red, and this orange, and even this green. Like, there's something about it. It's weird. Here's that one, I don't know if you can see it very well. This yellow that was all funky coming out of the bottle. Like, it's all stuck down, all these little chunks. But it's just so interesting. Like, just the pigment, like, it's just in little chunks. Like miniature cottage cheese. Oh, I'm almost out of this paint. Where can I put a giant, well, look, a spot. Fill up this whole spot. And then we'll finally be done with this silver. Yeah, my husband plays bass guitar. And he really hasn't played in a long time. But the friend he's talking to right now, when we first met, there was a whole group of people that would get together every Friday night and just jam, play music. And I know he misses that kind of stuff. He actually had the opportunity to be in a band, and he was in it for a while, and then they were like, well, now we're going to start touring, and he's like, I don't know if I want to do that. And so he left the band. He was actually in another band for a while too, that thought about doing some stuff, but then there was like internal kind of drama. But I think that was one of the moments that he realized, he's like, I don't actually want to travel to work. And so he's like, I love playing music, but I don't think I can actually pursue being in a band, at least at that time, because he didn't want to go on the road. And that's fine. That's the choice. It's a similar reason that I got out of acting. I thought my entire high school career, I went to an arts high school, thought I was going to go into acting, thought that's what I wanted to do for my career. And then when I got to college, I was like, I'm kind of done with a bunch of this. Okay. And it was a similar thing with not wanting to travel, not wanting to be on the road. But I know he misses playing music, so it'd be nice if he could, like, find some people to go play music with. Like, please, go do it, you know? I'll stay here and paint. Watch the kids. Oh, I don't even know why it's better. Okay. Put this down. It's the wipe off page. Trying to spread the silver around. I decided not to wear my paint dress because I've not really been wearing it when I'm painting by myself. And I've been able to put paint in places that are weird. Like places I wouldn't normally put paint if I was just wearing the dress. Because it would be like under my arm or on the strap or, you know, like under my left. I don't know if that's appropriate to say on any streaming software or any content platform. So we'll just infer that it was under the left thing. Real life, folks. It's real life. But yeah, I'm getting paint in interesting places, so I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like the next time I put it on. I might have to make effort to go look in a mirror. Alright, got little bits that aren't really stuck. That's alright. Alright. Time are we looking at? Oh, 20 minutes. Okay, so we just did a gray. So now I've got 3 grays, I've got 3 purples, I've got 3 greens, 3 blues. Well, no, 4 blues and 3 blues and a teal. And then 1, 2, 3 reds and a pink. So maybe I'll do a red. Maybe. I've got 3 browns, 3 oranges, and 2 yellows. And then I've got my whites, which I still don't think I'm going to use. I feel like I don't know. I'm torn about it. And I'm going to pick this red because it's kind of in the middle of the other 2 reds that I have. The problem is that I have a lot of reds. So I've already got reds going on, like red, pink. This one, it was interesting. Is it the right one? No, it's not. It's actually, that's a copper. There's a pink I painted this morning that actually looks like salmon, like a peach instead of a pink. But in like different lighting, it looks pink. It's interesting. Oh, this is metallic. Well, that's all right. This red isn't. All right, I'll shake it. What do I do with that brush? Is it in the... What the hell did I do with that brush? Is it still on my dress? Is it in this page? I used it... Where the hell did it go? I used it to wet the thing, and then I wiped it off on my dress, and now it's just gone. Is it underneath this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, please don't share links without permission. Thank you. frick is my paintbrush? This is not the first paintbrush. I feel like I used to have 6, and now I only have 5. Well, now I only have 4. Because I had 5. Did they set it down somewhere weird? I keep thinking it must have fallen on the floor. But I don't see it. Alright, I'm losing my damn mind. I'll either find it later or I won't. Alright. Whatever. I didn't... Oh. It's in there. It just was almost the same size as this fancy water dish, also known as a macaroni salad container. All right, I feel better now knowing that I didn't didn't lose this stupid brush. I still swear I used to have 6, and one of them just disappeared. And now, like, it's to the point now where I'm like, maybe I don't remember 6, but I swear there were 6. Oh, you know what I realized? I realized somehow I know why it ate that. Alright. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. We're gonna paint. This side's getting pretty full too. Do I want to flip you? Oh, that's why I did that. Alright. That's fine. I've decided to keep my vice grips here. Loosen them a little bit for just anticipating these things getting stuck, because honestly at this point I don't even really care if the lids get damaged because they're old paints anyway. Oh good lord, when you have let your paint sit for too long, let this be a lesson. I was all like, okay, I picked out my quote, I got my stuff set up, I did my thumbnail, pretty sure I got all my stuff done, and I just remembered the thing I forgot to do. That's okay. One day I'm gonna write down a lot of the process. I'm getting better at documentation in general, partially because I have to for work. I'm putting a lot more pressure on it, but it's beneficial because there are things that are in the works for the department that it will be beneficial that I am already on the path. And it'll, you know, be beneficial for my personal life. It never ceases to amaze me how cross-functional this stuff is with the stuff I'm currently doing at work. I'm doing different work, but there's a lot of methodology that can be transferred between the two. So the fact that I am developing skills here and developing skills there makes both things better. Resulting. Ha 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 ha. I have to remind my husband about the kids. Because now that school's back in session. Oh, no. Okay. That's very, very thick. But it's because it's starting to dry out pretty bad. Which is fine. Doesn't bother me that it's doing that. It just means that there's a lot more paint here, but it's probably got a big goober in it. So, or it could take forever to use up all this paint. Either Either way. Either scenario is likely. Don't overthink, just paint. Don't overthink, just paint. Oh, nope. You know what else I started thinking about? I was like, I use stream elements for some very simple functionality. Mostly because there are certain things that I do feel like, since I know that they're like the chat moderation thing. Like, I know that that's an important function to have, hence the reason I have it, hence the reason I was like, even though at the time I was like, I don't know shit about any of this stuff, I was like, okay, but it sounds like it's really important to have in place, so I much like everything else I have done, it's very rudimentary, but I actually have been thinking, like, I really need to look into some more of the features, because I feel like I'd be more comfortable with that stuff now. The stuff I have learned how to deal with since the last time I even remotely looked at that stuff makes me think that I might just go, oh, I know how to do this. Look, cool new shit. So maybe soon. It's kind of how I felt with downloading those emotes. Even though there were only really 2, because I had done the work already. I thought it wasn't finished at the time, but looking back at it, I'm like, that's good enough. Like, I'm getting a lot better about accepting the good enough. Kind of like my thumbnails. Like, are they super awesome? No. Have I gotten all of the things, like, all the elements that I want to have to start working towards better thumbnails? No. One of the things I gotta do is take a picture of my stupid face. I'm like, I don't want to. But the picture that I have right now is not, I've tried to, like, cut it and make it do, and I'm just like, I don't like how that looks. I'm not gonna use that. But that means I have to probably take another picture of my face. And I don't have green hair right now, so that's upsetting. But hair shit's expensive, so. I'm shedding like an animal tonight. I don't care if it's crooked. I was trying to decide if I cared enough to fix it. I do not. Man, I hope the tweaks I made make this better. Even if it's still not perfect, as long as it's better than it was, that's what I'm hoping for. I keep telling myself I need to get my little clip-on mic that I bought. I bought it particularly for shorts. But it could function out here. I have named it FizzGig because although the mic itself is not huge, I mean, it's bigger than, it's not a high-end, super tiny thing. So it's got its own presence, but, and I never knew this because I know nothing about sound engineering. I touched the wet paint. It's fine. Apparently, like, the fuzzy covers that go on microphones are meant to help with, like, wind noise and stuff like that. So, and just, other noise reduction qualities. Anyway, because I was like, I don't know if I want this fuzzy thing. It seems huge with it on. And then I read about what it actually does, and I was like, oh, that's good. Because I actually have film shorts like in my car or outside, and I was just like, well, that's a good practical reason to have it be so large and obnoxious. So I put it up here and like, no, I don't really have lapels, but you know, like on my collar. And I look down and I'm just like, it's this thing. And I'm just like, I should name this thing. And I was like, oh, I'm going to call it Fizzgig. So I got to get Fizzgig engaged at some point. See if it helps. The microphone on this laptop is better than what was on my other laptop, my previous laptop, but it's still not the best. Not that I'm expecting to have the best anytime soon. Ooh, my tummy is making noise. What the hell? The shot? I like the fact that there's like this not metallic situation. There's not a lot of metallics on this side at all. But I almost, there's more reds and like stuff going on that side. Kind of like the idea of it being on this side, even though I feel like the other side needs something. Just paint. Get over yourself and just paint. Making a fuss over nothing. Making a fuss over nothing. Being dramatic for no good reason. Don't be sad. Okay. That was a nice big spot. See, that's too matchy-matchy. Those reds almost look the same. I mean, like, this looks a little slightly, like, more rusty. But I don't know how I feel about putting them together. Maybe I'll put it here. Even though that'll create like another kind of bookended red situation because it's like red and red, and then it'll be red and red, but I can't think too hard about that. If I do, then I'll just stop myself from making progress at all, and that's not acceptable, so we won't do that. Yeah, what I really want to do is I want to get a haircut and then dye my hair again. But haircuts are not cheap. And I really don't want to dye my hair when it's as long as it is because my arms get tired trying to dye it. But I do miss my green hair. I was really hoping to get it done before the book sale since I'm going to be in front of the public quite a bit. Not as in front of the public when I'm doing my regular stuff, so. There's also part of it that was like, fuck it, just do it anyway. You can figure out the money later. But it's going to be holiday season soon, so responsible parent needs to ensure that we do not, because they won't be little forever, you know. And they don't get a ton of stuff. Like, I mean, we do their birthdays big enough, and we do their Christmas big enough. We don't like get crazy, and we usually do something like, you know, we still go see Santa and things like that. But they won't want to do that forever. So I focus on that for now, knowing that one day it'll end and I'm probably going to be sad about it when it does, even if I don't have to spend money on it anymore. I'm still not happy about how that turned out. Still not happy. Maybe once things start filling in around it, I'll feel better. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Look how not filled in that is. What the hell? Told my husband we needed to call our ex-roommate, or at least message our ex-roommate about the cat. So our ex-roommate was allergic to cats. And Dino liked hanging out in his room when he lived here. And he liked Dino, even though he was allergic to Dino. So I was like, you might want to let him know, you know, that he is gone. They have moved, he and his wife have moved to another state. We got to meet their baby last year? Last year or the year before? I don't know. I don't remember. In the past, before today. I've been worried about doing something like this. Trying to make it match across. Like that. But yeah, I was like, you might want to message him. Let him know. He loves animals. Well, they've had dogs. He is an animal lover. Alright, I need to stop fucking with this corner because it's causing me problems. Alright. Stop, or we're gonna end up in another situation like that one circle. Piss me off. I have to just trust the process that it'll get fixed up later. So whatever's bothering me about it right now will probably just get covered up. Or it will get covered up on purpose because it bothers me. Like, I can make that effort. I can be like, nope. Cover that shit in paint. Alright. I like how that looks. My kids had blocks that looked like that when they were little. Actually, I think they still have them now that I'm thinking about it. It's one of those toys where I keep going, are you guys still playing with these? And they're like, and then they start playing with them again. Probably because I'm like, hey, did you forget you even had these? And they're like, well, and then they play with them again. Although I think we might be approaching getting rid of the Duplos. Because they really don't play with them. The problem is they've got, I think there might even be 2 sets of them, but it's essentially a marble run. And even though the Duplos are meant for younger kids, the marble run stuff is cool. And because it's Duplo, it fits together really well and is easy to construct. Some marble runs, we've had a few different kinds over the years, and some of them go together and you're like, that was way too complicated. Like the first one my son ever got, we had no idea. We put it together and it was like, you can never take this apart, because if you take this apart, we will never get it back together. And he finally took it apart and was like, well, I guess it's never going back together. Trying to look at what I've got and what I have already worked on. Worked on those more recently. So we'll look below that. This one is close. This one's less close. And there's more options for not putting it right next to a red. So we'll take that. Take that. Get rid of my hair. What the frickin' frack? Well, I guess these boards sit on the floor behind where my head usually is. So if I shed, the hair falls down and is on the floor next to where these boards are. So when they move around, I guess that's why they're picking up hair. Logic and reason. Yeah. It's big brain thinking. This is where my big brain's overthinking. I just had this thought that I'm like, oh, I should like try and keep track of how long something like this takes me. And then I'm like, if you do that, you're going to discourage yourself if you ever decide to do something again. And honestly, I don't think these boards are going to be enough. I think I'm going to need more than what I've already got going on. What I'm really hoping to do is to get them into varying stages. So, like, I've got some more boards cut, and I thought, well, by the time I finish these boards, getting, like, this first set of geometric patterns on them, or shapes, I guess, it's not really a pattern, maybe I'll gesso the next set of boards and work on the stage of this, unless I'm still motivated to paint shapes, which I'm probably going to be burnt out on by then. But then once I'm done, like, working on shapes, like, on the next stage, which is, like, stamping and big mark making, then I can go back to painting shapes for a while, and then I can start, deciding if I'm going to cut them down and then do detail work, or if I want to do some kind of detail work first, or I can kind of dicker through that process of those next stages. But then I can go back and forth between the different tasks so that I'm not spending so much time doing the same thing. At least that's the idea for now. Will it work? Maybe. This paint is very thick. That's okay though. Check and see what time it is. It's too late and I'm still hearing my children. I'm just going to remind my husband, like, hey, it's school bedtime now. See. Ow. There's like a big runnel of paint. So I'd taken a small break from reading listening to Heaven by V.C. Andrews, and I've read the Doppelganger series at least twice. and I read My Sweet Audrina, and I remember them being messed up, because they are. There's lots of toxic stuff happening in those books, but they're, I don't know, I think it's partially my generation kind of grew up reading that stuff, because I've heard lots of people like, oh yeah, I grew up in the 80s and 90s and I read those way too early, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did that too. I didn't even really think about it until I heard people saying it, but I've never really read anything besides those. So I was like, my grandmother had a whole bunch of V.C. Andrews books, and I think that's where I got the Dollenganger series, because I'd heard of Flowers in the Attic and all of that. And so when she got rid of all her books, I took all of her V.C. Andrews books, and I was like, I'll make time to read these one day. Well, I never did. So in my pursuit to declutter my home, I went through my bookshelf, and any books that I was like, well, I may not want to keep these books forever, but I at least want to read them once, because that's why I took them in the first place. And so the V.C. Andrews books came up. All of them, I think, were available from my library app that I use. And so I was like, I'd been rereading some stuff, just kind of visiting some of my favorite things I hadn't read since I was a kid, you know. And I was like, you know what? I've only ever read the Dollenganger series and My Sweet Audrina. And so I did some digging, and, you know, she's got a ghostwriter and stuff, so, like, some of her books aren't even hers, and some of the series aren't all hers, and some of them are, like finished after she died, like some of the books. Anyway, that's a whole thing. But I was like, well, I'll, you know, see what the next series is after the Flowers in the Attic series. And the next one was the Castile series. Like, anyway, it starts with Heaven. And I'm just waiting for some stuff has already happened where I'm like, God damn. And then just waiting for how much more God damn this series gets into. Because, yeah, there was some stuff I was just like, oh my God. Like, I don't have a weak stomach. Horror is my favorite genre. And it takes a lot to really bother me. And honestly, the stuff that, I mean, there are some things that bother me now because I have kids that would not have bothered me as much. I mean, they're still bothersome, but not in a way that's like visceral. Like, there are some things now that get to me in a visceral way. There was an episode of Black Mirror that got to me like that, and then that was hard to watch. That episode of Black Box, I can't remember the name of it, but it hit me so hard that I was like, I have not been this upset by a horror story in ever. Like, ever. Like, and then what was the other thing that it was disturbing, and it was a difficult watch, but like so well done that it, like, I was just like fascinated by it, even though like as a parent it bothered me. And it's a movie I would recommend. It's Dr. Sleep. So, but be prepared if you're a parent. There's a scene in it that's really, it'll get you to your core. But so well done. It was so well done. And the kid actor in that is so good. Actually, there's more than one moment in Dr. Sleep for a parent that hits you right in the visceral feels. Like, oh my God. But it was so well done. He did such a good job of bridging the gap between the books and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That, you know, and I love Ewan McGregor, so I could watch him a lot. And just better and better with age, you know? Some people age very well. But I don't know if that episode of Black Mirror would have gotten to me the way it did if I had watched it before I had kids. I wish I could remember the name of it. It's something where you can, like, like the police are able to use like some kind of recording, like from people's eyes or from something, you know, like they can see what that person saw. And I really wish I could remember the name of it, but yeah, I was so upset by the end of that episode. I was like just deeply disturbed. Not that I wouldn't watch it again, I would, just knowing that I was going to be disturbed by it. It's because I'm a glutton for punishment, like a lot of horror fans are. Alright, where do I want to put this? I'm overthinking it. Welcome! Overthinking it. I might have to take my break before this red is over because there's a lot of it. And I thought it was a big glob, but apparently it was just really freaking thick paint. Like I keep trying to get just a little bit more and it's just a ton. Yeah, even some of the most disturbing stuff. Now, there are some movies and things I'm aware of that I'm sure, some in particular that because I am a parent now would probably relate. And I don't have like a super strong desire to see those things. I have heard enough about the ones that usually make the lists of most disturbing. But sometimes I've seen some of that stuff and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't bother me. But there are some where I'm like, I don't know if I want to see that, but there's also part of me that's like, kind of want to see it just out of that morbid curiosity. But like I probably won't because I don't have enough time. There's other shit I want to see more. More than testing myself to see like how disturbing it would actually be for me. I don't really have anything to prove anyway. So, you can judge me if you like. I don't have time to care. Maybe if I was like 16 again and felt like I needed to prove it, but not now. But yeah, some of those things, well, and sometimes people think things are disturbing and I'm just like, okay, I was totally removed from the realism of that situation because of the effects or because of the acting or because I just can't abide people being stupid in movies. I mean, I can to some extent, but like when push comes to shove and you have the option to try and like protect yourself or defend yourself and you choose not to, like in an unrealistic way. Like I get there's panic. I get that, you know, in the moment you might not be thinking as clearly and not everybody reacts to things the same. Like, I get all of that. But there are times where I'm like, you're just gonna let them kill you? Like, you're not gonna fight at all? Like, go for the eyes. Something, like, let that self-preservation instinct kick in, man. My son and I went back. I'm trying to like introduce him to some of the classics so that he can watch some of the more modern stuff that references or lampoons or like kind of goes, hey, we're not going to do that stupid shit and then people still die. You know, I like that kind of stuff because they make smart decisions and it still doesn't matter because the killer kills them anyway. Not if it's like ridiculous, like they really should have gotten out or something, but like I like it when they're smart, but then the killer is still like smarter, you know. Not always. I mean, sometimes I like it when they live. But I like a lot of stuff because I have to let go of a lot of the things that I'm just like, that's obnoxious. Like, I don't know. If I had to give up all of the movies that have bad endings, there's so many movies I would lose because I'm willing to go, I really like how we get to the ending. I just don't happen to like the ending. But I like all the other, like the effects, I like the script, I like the acting, I like the set, I like whatever. And if the ending is mediocre, then I'm not gonna let it ruin the whole movie because there's a lot where the ending is just like. So I just gotta let it go. But. Don't be picky. Get over yourself. More freaking hair. I feel like that means I need to move like chairs and rugs and vacuum and stuff. Probably. Probably should. So I've currently got a list right now of horror movies that I haven't seen and horror movies that I have seen. And I started putting this list together because I started years ago keeping a playlist on my personal YouTube for horror movies to watch, or movies to watch. I don't even think it was just horror movies. I've got one for like games to play and movies to watch. I feel like there might be even something else in there. Food to make, things like that. So when I started considering doing trying out reaction videos, I knew immediately that I wanted to do horror. Just horror, not really anything else. I've seen a lot of movies, not everything. If you don't know, I used to work at a Blockbuster. I used to work at like 15 Blockbusters because they like to move us around and have us be shared at other stores. Cover shifts, you know, that kind of shit. It's still retail, but I've seen a lot of movies. And because I worked at Blockbuster for a long time, because I know a lot about movies, because I've grew up in a movie-loving household, there's a lot of stuff I know, even though I haven't seen it. And so there are movies that I have not seen that, you know, if you consider yourself like a movie nerd or a movie aficionado, you would be like, you haven't seen blah, 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 because no, I have not. I might know pretty much the entire movie because I've seen it in clips, I've heard it in quotes, I've talked about it with people, you know, things like that, and had things described to me. But no, I have not seen every single classic movie. But because horror is my favorite genre. It's my favorite. I love short stories, I love novels, I love TV shows. There aren't a ton of horror genre, like subgenre types that I don't like. I might like some more than other. I like supernatural stuff a lot. I like haunted house stuff a lot, ghost stories. But I you know, there might be ones that I am more drawn to than others, but I'd still probably watch most things at least once just to see what it's like. Yeah. Okay. Overthinking things again. My apologies. Too close to the edge there. Probably not even seeing what the hell I'm doing. But I'm still trying to figure out, like, if I tried to do a reaction, what would I even start with? Because I could start with something. I just touched that. Oh. You might hear a young bloodhound in the distance because he is being walked outside my house. I feel like his owner's been walking him more frequently lately, so maybe we have become a permanent route. Because it was like once every like 2-3 weeks, and now I've heard him like 5 or 6 times in the last week, 2 weeks, something like that. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what I'd pick first. do a rewatch, but that's not as fun. And honestly, there's a lot of modern horror stuff that I haven't seen yet. That I haven't seen any of the Terrifiers, and I've heard those are pretty good. There's some new things that I don't like that have gotten a lot of hype. And I feel like I need to go back. Okay, I might start some controversial shit right now. Because apparently a lot of people loved this. And I feel like I need to rewatch it just to be like, did I miss something? So I don't like most things about Evil Dead Rise. I'm gonna put it out there. I am definitely in the camp on Evil Dead. I love the over-the-top nature of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, and I enjoyed Evil Dead, the first one. I loved the Evil Dead TV show. I liked that they made it like even more realistic, but still like way over the top. Like that show is insane, but it's not quite Du Bois level, but like there was some disturbing ass shit in the series, which I loved. But do I want to finish that sentence? I really liked the Evil Dead remake. I thought they did a really good job of trying to take a turn for serious. I liked that. Because I was like, they're gonna take this, super camp. You're not gonna have Bruce Campbell fighting his own hand. What the fuck? But I liked what they did with it. I still don't like it as much as I like the original trilogy, but I liked it better than I thought I was going to. I thought it was better done than I thought it was going to be. So when they were showing the previews for Evil Dead Rise, I was like, all right, well, we're staying in this kind of more serious universe. And it was a case of I could not relate to the choices that the non-Deadites were making. I just couldn't relate to it. I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Like, even the kids, it was just like, I know you're kids, but like, come on, man, that's not... Anyway. The special effects were great. The gal that was the mom who was the Deadite was great. Like, there was some truly, like, upsetting stuff as far as, like, visuals and her performance. And there was there's a scene near the end that's really great. Because it's like, they're trying to get out, but that I really enjoyed. And I really liked the beginning. But just a lot of it, I was just like, I just can't understand why you guys aren't making different choices here. And it really bothers me. Yeah, another movie that got so much praise was The Strangers. And I can't stand The Strangers. I have no interest in seeing. I think there's a sequel. I don't care. Unless the people actually try to live. I was so upset watching that movie. And just people who just let people take them out. Like, I just can't imagine not fighting to save my life. Or to save someone I care about, like if it was my kid, or my husband or something like that. I think I'd fight a little bit more than not at all. Because it feels like they just don't really put up a fight. And there was another one that I was going to mention too. That I was just like, oh, Hostel. That was another one. That's another controversial one because people really liked Hostel, and I feel like I need to go back and watch it knowing that the effects take me out of the movie. Because I remember seeing that and thinking the effects looked so fake that I couldn't take the torture aspect serious. And I would kind of like to watch it just looking at it with like the acceptance of you have to get over the fact that doesn't look like a real leg and real blood. Like, because there's like a scene where they get drilled like in the leg, and it just looked so fake at the time. I was like, how is this not funny? This is funny, right? So I feel like I should go back. There was like 3 or 4 Hostel movies, and I remember people making such a big deal about it when it came out, and I was just like, but it's obviously fake. I mean, obviously it's fake because it's a movie, but I don't know. It took me out. It took me out of the movie. And anytime you disconnect from what you're supposed to be using as like something to scare someone, it's just like, that's it. I can't help but just not find it as terrifying. So I'd be curious to go back and watch some of those, knowing that those things will, like, I wouldn't mind watching The Strangers again, just to see if, now that I know I'm going to be irritated about that stuff, if there's other things that I could appreciate. Because I really get, like, home invasion, scary idea. The thought of people coming into your home and terrorizing you to the point of murder, that's scary shit. Your house is a sanctuary. But, like, people making poor choices and just kind of ignoring self-preservation really bugged me. But it's funny because I've recently been watching like some people's lists about stuff, like things that they're tired of seeing in movies and things like tropes that they want to have end. And a lot of them I'm like, oh, I know the trope you're talking about. I don't know if I care though. I don't care. Apparently there's a thing about cats being used for a jump scare that bothers a lot of people, and I'm just like, oh, I guess that is a common thing. I just really don't care enough. It's so funny how everybody can have such different feelings about things. And to each their own, makes life more interesting. Not slighting anybody for being bothered by the cat jump scare. It bothers you. Get it? It's how I feel about dumb choices. Although that does make a lot of people's lists. This is so much freaking paint. There is a big goober in here. It's just still a lot of paint around it. Okay, where are we at time-wise? Lost my... So we can see... Oh, good lord, woman, you have to stop, so take a break. Where do I wanna... But then I also watch things and people are like, this was such a bad movie except for this one thing. And I'm like, I remember really having a good time watching that movie. I wouldn't call it like a masterpiece. Actually, the one that comes to mind that I'm thinking of right now is Ghost Ship. I enjoyed Ghost Ship. And I feel like I should go back and watch it because I've heard enough people bag on everything but the opening scene that I'm like, being that bad, but maybe I'm just more forgiving. Maybe I just happened to see it at a time where, you know, I wasn't burnt out on some of the tropes that were used in it. Maybe? I just remember enjoying it. Maybe it was because of the opening scene, you know what I mean? Like, even though the rest of the movie might have been, like, mediocre, the opening scene was, like, had you so gripped, or had me so gripped, maybe not you, but me, that I was willing to overlook some shit. It's entirely possible. I believe I was working at Blockbuster when that came out. The opening scene to that is so good. Just built up nicely, executed nicely, gross. Just, I don't really remember seeing anything quite like it before then. Of course, somebody's gonna be like, yep, there was a movie that blah 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 blah, but whatever. Good job, you know stuff. Maybe I'll put it on my list. That's a watch. Honestly, I don't mind that kind of stuff where people are like, actually, there was this one thing. It's usually that kind of arrogant air that comes along with it, where it's like, well, if you knew what you were talking about. Here I am having a theoretical argument. But I've seen people have tons of arguments like that where it's like, well, actually, and it's like, alright. I think it's just because it comes across as being like this superior attitude. Well, like, I know more than you. Well, like, of course you know more than me about some stuff. I bet there's things I know more about than you do. Thank you very much. Oh, hey, asking for a friend. How you doing? I'm sitting here having fake arguments with people about my opinions of horror movies at the moment. Partially because I haven't even had my break yet. Well, that's good. I'm contemplating trying to film like a movie reaction video for my YouTube channel, and I want to stick mostly to horror. So I'm like having an external debate about what that might be. Do I want to watch something that I've seen before, even though I don't feel like that's as good of a reaction video? Or do I want to try for something new, and then if I do, what the hell would I even pick? You just got home? Was it a long work day or a normal work day? I'm assuming it was work that you just got home from. I guess it could be lots of things. I'm gonna have long days next week. But it's okay. I don't mind, because I have like... It's like fun to do. I like running the book sale. Like when we're actually in go mode, it reminds me of like my old retail and food service jobs, because even though those jobs are hard and there's a lot of crap that goes along with them, like sometimes like you're working with just that right crew that everybody knows what the hell they're doing, and you trust everybody to be where they're supposed to be, and things are just clicking and just the pace is going, and then before you know it, your shift is done and you're going home. It almost feels like that, even though it's not the same level of intensity that shit is. Long day. Yeah. I can understand that. Oh, I don't know why I'm turning that. But I really need to take my break soon. I poured more paint than I meant to. And then I've just been running my damn mouth. Trying to distract myself. It's been a stressful week. I guess that's probably the easiest way to describe it. So, looking forward to resting this weekend before my 11 work days in a row. I'm gonna leave it alone. Finish your second shift, work a 12 to 14 hour day. Is that normal, or is this like a special circumstance? And if it is normal, do you get like my husband used to work 4 10-hour shifts instead of 5 8-hour shifts. It's normal. Yeah. Do you get like 3 days off, or is it like necessity to work that much? I worked 7 days a week a long time ago. I guess it was a long time ago now. I haven't really thought about how long it's been. But I had to do that out of necessity. 4 on, 4 off. Ah, yep. Well, that's nice. My husband said he really liked working, having 3 days off and working 10-hour shifts instead of working 5 days back when he did that. So. There's a lot of red on that side. This is fine. All right. Oh, good. He's getting children. Oh, you work for a prison. That sounds intense. course, I probably know very little about actually working in a prison, so maybe I just think it's intense. It probably has its moments. Hopefully, it's not intense too much.
Oh,
Oh, should I be muting?
yeah.
Okay, my husband's gonna be out here for just a minute, chit chatting. So, let me mute for a minute. Person. Sorry about having to mute. My husband was filling me in on info. And hello, how are you? Is it my eyeballs are like not working? Millykins. I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a long week, but you know, some weeks are better than others. But I hope you're having a good day, or as good as day can be hoped for. And I saw that most inmates, if they know what was good for them, try not to pick a fight with you. You know, I feel like it's probably better to just like behave, but I'm also not an inmate, so I don't know. But do you enjoy that work? I feel like the right, I mean, like most jobs, like the right person, you know, are suited for different jobs, even the tough ones, right? I'm ill at the moment. Oh no, but trying to power through your crochet projects? Well, you know, crochet is actually not too demanding physically, unless you're having like trouble sitting. So, you know, like when your body's super achy. I get so mad when I get sick to the point where I have to lay down and like not have the strength to hold my arms up for anything because I have so many different projects I do. I almost always have my hands busy. And my husband will laugh at me when I'm like, I can't do anything, this sucks. But I don't crochet. So my mom tried to teach me when I was little, and I have never had the patience to learn how to make my stitches not super tight. Like, I always end up making them super tight. The only thing I am ever been successful at making in crochet is chains. That's the only thing. I liked to knit though. So that was the yarn craft I took up when I realized that crochet stressed me out. And then I watch people do it and they're like, I'm just like, how do you... Okay. Guys asked for a background check on me. Gave you the nickname Captain Cook. I feel like I know what that's a reference to, but... Just a flu with some fever and a nasty cough. A very stubborn one, too. Had it for a week already. Ugh. It sucks. Yeah, I don't know what it is anymore. Anytime I get sick now, I feel like I always have a lingering cough for like a month afterwards. It's just bullshit. Yeah, I haven't knit anything in a long time. I think I still have a lot of yarn though, so one of the things I want to do with this project is use yarn to not only connect the pieces for hanging, but I also want to use it for just like for decoration on it. So if you haven't been with me before, essentially what this is going to be is once these are covered in shapes, I'm going to take stencils and mark making tools and, you know, stamp all over it to layer. And then I think I'm going to cut them down to their circle shapes. So they're all going to be circles. And then I'm going to do like detail work. I'm thinking about using, like I've got like the cheapy like gem things you can get from like the dollar store, and then maybe use yarn, and then I'll punch holes and string them almost like a beaded curtain. I'm making decoration for my art space, which is a garage, and so therefore an ugly box. So a military cook. Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense. I was like, is this a reference to a movie? I feel like I've heard the name Captain Cook somewhere. I mean, sounds almost like Captain Hook, so maybe my brain was doing weird things with Cook and Hook, but also there's lots of characters in the world, right? I was worried for a sec, asking for a friend because go. There you go, Captain Hook. Please don't let him be kidnapping kiddos. Or maybe he has an aversion to crocodiles or clocks. Okay, I'm getting on tangents now. Do I want this side? Do I want this side? Oh, I want this side. I only have like pinks on this side. Do I want it closer? I don't know. But yes, I was contemplating. Kind of want to try and figure out the whole reaction thing before we get closer to Halloween, because I know myself well enough to know that if I try and start figuring out how to film a reaction video, that I am prone to stressing out over the tech side of things and then overthinking to the point where I just stop. So I don't want to be like, I have 1 week before October to film a horror reaction video and then take a month and then not actually post it this year. Sorry, I was just supposed to come here to lurk and shamelessly use you as a body double to get shit done. Hey, you know what? That is one of my motivations for being here at all, is being a body double. Because I've actually done it for people for like organizing in real life, to the point where people are like, you should be a professional organizer. And I'm like, well, I kind of do that because I work in a library and I organize stuff in spaces regularly. I mean, it's kind of the same type of stuff. I'm not organizing like 50 million things, but I've been organizing since I was 4. So I do really good with helping people like kind of stay on track. And that's one of the things I like about the people I pay attention to in both YouTube and Twitch, is like feeling like somebody's there doing stuff with you. So cool that you found me and you're doing that here. So right. I completely understand that whole not doing it when it's your own stuff. The only kidnapping I do is make kids nap. Need a body double. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I didn't even really realize that that's what that was called. And then I don't remember, somebody was talking about it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I can totally do that shit. But I know a lot of people don't like being in like a chatty stream or in a chatty like video or something. But I prefer that usually because I'm almost always listening while I'm doing something else. So it's kind of how I started making stuff in the first place. Because I was like, I like listening to that kind of content. And I know I'm not the only one. So I feel like I might be able to do that. And I've been trying to take a stab at it for like, I don't know, almost 10 years now, off and on, because I am a procrastinator and I get overwhelmed and then I disappear for a while. I've been really consistent though lately, so fingers crossed. Although I had 3 cats lying on the desk helping you with the fiber crafts. Sounds like you too? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Well, that's one of the advantages to being out here in the garage. Although we do not have cats at the moment, it is nice having a dedicated space. It works for children too, although sometimes they infiltrate, but it's nice having a space where I can just leave my stuff without small animals or small people. But life happened. Yeah, I used to stream as well, but life happened and it's been a few years now. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I started making videos on YouTube almost a decade ago. And then really didn't know what the hell I was doing. Really didn't have any kind of good setup. I look back at some of those videos now and I'm like, holy shit, those are bad. But I don't mind like having them there. I know sometimes people remove their old stuff because it's so bad, but I'm like, it's kind of interesting to just look back and be like, because I didn't have a good camera. I didn't have a cell phone at the time, so it's not like I had like, my setup was bad. It was, was that a time? I think that was before I was working 3 jobs, because then of course I had no time for anything, but I had a second kid, all kinds of stuff happened. And it's funny how fast time can fly, and then you look back and you're like, that's from 2005. What? Well, not 2005. I guess it would be 2015. 2005 would be almost 20 years ago. Okay. Dream about a craft room. Night now living in a 1-bedroom apartment with my kiddo. He has the bedroom. I sleep in the living room. It's functional, but I would love to have my craft stuff up and ready when I get the time and mood to craft. Yeah, life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, it's not ideal being out here in the garage, but it's dedicated. And that's the thing, because we don't have a huge house. And kid number 2 was a surprise. And my oldest child was living in our second bedroom, but it was like a 9x11, and I was like, with the fact that they are almost 7 years apart and it's such a small room, by the time my oldest is an older teenager, he'll have like a 10-year-old brother in his room. So we ended up flip-flopping our whole house, so they got the entire second floor so they could have kind of separate spaces. But that meant the living room that I was using as my craft space had to move out here, and then it is a garage, so it spent like 3 years getting stuff just shoved out here as we moved everything around in the house so we could have better space options for the kids. So time is a weird concept. I still feel like when someone says in the 80s, yeah, 20 years ago, right? Although they don't, those things like make you feel old. Like, they don't hit me as hard anymore because I feel like people have started doing them more often. Because, of course, time keeps passing, so every generation has to have, like, this was released 20 years ago, and then you get to watch, you know, like, 20-somethings go. So I just find it funny anymore. My dad says it doesn't get any better. Because he has the same thing, except for his is 20 years earlier than that, so. Right. I should have a drink. So are you making anything fun? Are you making something functional? I have a cousin who really likes to crochet. She just started making stuffed animals for some of the younger cousins. I'm overthinking it. Hello. I think the biggest shock for me was when I noticed the clothes that are in fashion again are from my childhood. Right. And honestly, I am so disappointed that high-waisted jeans have come back. If you're into high-waisted jeans, more power to you. But when I was young, they were mom jeans. And I am short and curvy, and so high-waisted jeans look really weird on me. And so the fact that they're back, I'm just like, no. Same. Nice. Although, I tell you what, I have found knockoff, like, combat boots. And my little 90s heart is just like, I never owned a real pair of Doc Martens except for a pair of Doc Marten, like, sandals. And I still have those because, of course, they're really good shoes. And I almost never wear them now. But, like, the combat boots, I always had, like, the Payless version of them growing up. But Target had, like, a heeled version and they both have, like, lazy lady zippers on the side, so I don't have to bother lacing them. Sorry, I don't have 2-meter long back to go with that high-waisted cut, right? Yeah, I'm 4'10". So I think it's funny now that people are like, ooh, low-rise jeans. And I'm like, I wore the shit out of low-rise jeans and overalls. So, along with my flannel shirt tied around my waist. But yes, I don't buy myself, like, new shoes very often, but I saw those at Target and I was like, I have to have them. Maybe one day I'll be fancy enough to have real Doc Martens. Of course, by then I might have to have, like, serious insoles for them. Actually, one of the biggest disappointments that I have, and I have trouble right now because I still have them. I have all of my Converse from when I was a teenager. Because I had, like, I don't know, I have like 6 pairs. They're all different colors. And thank you. But I can't get rid of them. But they hurt so bad for standing and walking for long periods of time, and my feet have changed now that I've had 2 children, and it's so depressing because I lived in my Converse shoes. I even have a pair that have, like, glitter laces. Anyway, they cost a shit ton, but they do last a long time. Yeah. Second pair of Alpha Rangers. First pair lasted for 12 years. Nice. Do not know how I managed with Converse shoes back in the day. Did you wear them too? Yeah, I can't get rid of them. They just sit under, I have a shoe thing under my bed, and every time I think about it, there's just a piece of, like, my youth that dies. I'm like, I just can't. I even thought about, I've seen people making, like taking concrete and, like, making planters out of them, like covering the shoes so they look like Converse, but then they're sturdy for being outside and having plants. And I thought about doing something like that just to, like, keep them in some way, but they can live under my bed until I commit. Now I'm thinking about them. Okay. Oh, goodness. I might have to stand up. My knee is killing me. They're so nostalgic, though. Yeah, I wonder if I should try wearing them again, but I feel like the last time I did it, I was just like, it was almost more depressing. Like right now, they're like Schrodinger's shoe. Like they might fit, but they might not fit. Or they might be comfortable. They might not be comfortable. And I don't have to know. They can just stay under my bed. Just look at my old shoes and remember all the adventures I had in them. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I have to stand for a minute. Oh, good lord. One day I will have to buy new knees. Hopefully I'll have better insurance at that point in my life. Yeah, I finally had to give up some of my old flannels because I had worn them to pieces. But I found some flannels recently at the thrift shop, and they were all in like greens and blues. And I was just like, that is so my color palette. Because a lot of the ones I had when I was a teenager were inherited from other people. And, like friends or boyfriends and stuff like that. You know, like the 2-week boyfriend who gave you a flannel and then you broke up. But I had a bunch like that. And then I was kind of feeling bummed out about not having more flannels, and I went to a thrift shop and they had like a ton, like a whole rack full of them, and a bunch of them were red, and I was like, yeah, okay. But then they had a whole section of like greens and blues, and I found like 4. It was amazing. I think that's one thing that I wouldn't mind trying to do, because living so frugally for so long, I don't spend a ton of money on like new clothes and stuff like that. But that is something I miss. I dressed so weird when I was a kid. And I miss like kind of wanting to express myself that way. Like I used to wear so much jewelry. It was ridiculous. And I just don't have the patience for it now. But there's part of me that's like, man, one day maybe you should do that again. But I've gotten back into thrifting as of late, mostly because I need to take my kids shopping for clothes because they're getting to the point where they're just growing. And it's hard not to look when there's like stuff that reminds me of my teenage years. Ooh. I wonder, I don't stay up too much on current fashion. Is flannel coming back yet or not yet? Dear Santa, I've been really good this year. Well, not really. I've been good. Okay, I've been somewhat good this year. Please bring me a new set of joints, spines, and knees. Oh no, that's a big ask. And then he brings you a book on like stretching and yoga. And you're like, ugh, no, that's effort. I've been trying though. So one of the big things I've been doing this year is a big mental shift on how I approach improvements that I want to make, because I've never really been good at exercise. Well, in my youth, of course, I had like, you know, gym. I walked everywhere. I was a swimmer at one point, to the point where I was, you know, swimming competitively. And then after that was when I, you know, if I wanted to go anywhere, like to my friends' houses or whatever, I had to walk everywhere, which was fine. But then I got into my 20s and I did lots of jobs where I was on my feet, so I didn't have to really work hard to keep my weight maintained. I was never really like fit, but I was not, you know, crazy overweight. Like I probably thought I was fat, but looking back, you know. But after having kids and then getting a job where I spend a lot more time sitting down, And getting older, it's like, well, now I should probably make effort to exercise. Well, fight over 40 years of not good exercise habits, it's kind of an uphill climb. So I've been trying really hard to just kind of gently nudge myself into making those choices better. And I've actually exercised a few times in the last couple weeks. I've had some, like stops and starts and stops and starts. And I'm not doing it, it's not about like actually like a regiment, like I'm gonna do this much. It's about I made the choice to do it. And then when I didn't choose it, I'm not gonna punish myself, which leads to me not doing it because I'm upset that I didn't do it. It's stupid cycle shit. And it's building the habit of making the choice, not necessarily I'm in it to lose 20 pounds. So, coming back, if not already back, all the lumberjack fashion. I haven't seen any of that, but I'm not like in the know. That's very much, which is why I had to ask in the first place. My kid has a flannel shirt, and he's going to my old high school, and I swear a lot of them look like kids I could have gone to school with. Art weirdos stay art weirdos. I may not even take a break tonight. I should have done it like an hour ago. That's okay. My husband might have finally gotten the kids to go to sleep. This is only the first week back at school. And man, that first week back is tough fighting that. I want to stay up because it still feels like summer. But also I feel like crap when I have to get up for the bus. My oldest has to get up for his bus that comes at 6. That's another habit I've been working on. I am not a morning person, and I've been getting up this week between 5:15 and 6, except for yesterday. Yesterday was difficult, and I had very poor sleep, so I allowed myself to go back to bed. But again, with that idea of, yes, I would like to get up earlier and get things done in the morning, but also if I need to sleep, I'm not going to deprive myself and then beat myself up for choosing that. Because I get into such a doom spiral of guilt about I should be doing more, I should be doing better, and I don't need that. It doesn't help me get better. And I can accept that about myself and learn to work smarter, not harder, right? I think this goober needs to just go away. Goodbye, goober! School started 2 weeks ago, another struggle. Yep. There's part of me that can't wait until my oldest is just doing it all on his own. And there's another part of me that's like, by the time we actually get to that point, I'll have built the habit to be up early. And it won't matter anymore. It won't be like a relief to not have to deal with it. And then my little one is in 2nd grade, so I have a lot of time. Ooh, my tummy is like grumbly. I don't even know why. I gave it food. It should be fine. Do I have enough paint? What am I doing? I don't have enough paint. All right. Yeah. All right. More of this. very intense color. Oh shit. The only problem with using a really crappy piece of packing paper is that there's a bunch of holes in it. Not that it matters, as you can see. Not that it matters. Lord. I love my tabletop, though. The only thing that really bugs me about it, and it's like not a really big thing, but it is noticeable because whenever I set up my camera out here, I have a really hard time squaring up like this, and it's because I put the contact paper on crooked. So the edge of the table, either side, is where I try and square up to, but then the contact paper makes it look crooked. Trying to shift your sleeping rhythm since my vacation's soon over, and it's been all over the place due to being ill and all. So I had an all-nighter and try to go to bed early today. It's 5:30 a.m. here. Oh, 5:44. Wow. Although I say wow like I haven't been getting up that early myself. Yeah, man, throwing off your sleep schedule sucks. I kept telling my kids that they needed to start trying to wind down a little bit earlier, like not necessarily go right to bed, but like all last week I was like, come on guys, you know this is gonna suck next week. You know, you really need to start trying to at least calm down earlier, even if you can't go to sleep. And my older son, I kind of feel took it to heart. And the first day of school, he was up, he was ready to go, and then ever since, he's been dragging ass. I have to wake up 3 a.m. for work. Ew! Boo! I'm a night person, though. I mean, if my entire schedule was shifted, you know, I could probably do it, but I would not choose it if I could help it. Hate your work due to that? Mm-hmm. Shifts start at 5 a.m. and it takes an hour to get there. Yuck. That's upsetting. And you don't like your job? Are you looking for something else, or are you just kind of stuck? I was stuck for a long time in all the ones I had. Or are you hoping that it will shift back to a regular schedule? I know sometimes people will stick through crappy schedules hoping they'll get back to a schedule they like. I have done that too. Beggars can't be choosers. Yep. I went through a period where I was working 6 days a week and then 7 days a week, and then I've had 2 and 3 jobs at a time, so I'm working doubles, and I don't miss any of that. Sometimes I wouldn't mind a little bit extra income. Like, I've thought about it a couple times. I'm like, should I try and get like something? Nah. I can juggle and not be... I was angry a lot back then because I was tired all the time and just burnt out on everything, and it was a tough time. So, but that's why we have art and craft. So I just shared an article recently on my Facebook group about people who do arts and crafts tend to overall say they like it gives them overall better satisfaction in their life and makes them feel better than people who don't, even compared to whether or not they're employed, like, or have a, like, work. And I was like, yeah, I could tell you that. The worst depression I ever had was when I stopped making anything for like 2 years. And even part of what it really was I was resentful that I couldn't work. I couldn't do my art and my craft stuff for as long as I wanted to because I just didn't have the time. And then the other part was that I had tried to turn it into a business, and I hated that shit. I hated having to market. I hated having to do bookkeeping for it. And I like numbers, but I hated having to do all the little management and, you know, all of that stuff. And then feeling like if I didn't make money, that I was wasting my time. I was throwing money away because we were so broke. It was like, I need this to produce money. And I just burned out hardcore and then didn't do anything for 2 years. And it was awful. So I accepted that I only had like, if I have only 5 minutes, I can do something in 5 minutes. If there's only 15 minutes, I can do something in 15 minutes. I used to, I like doing things for long, like, I've been here for almost 3 hours now. And even though I'm yammering a lot, I would rather work for, 4-hour stretches, but realistically, I can't have that most of the time. So it took accepting that I couldn't do that to realize I could still have the satisfaction isn't really what I mean, but kind of still getting to do stuff even if it wasn't as long and as much as I wanted to do. So there's a sense of accomplishment and let you create stuff, but yeah, it would make it into a work. It would take the joy of creating, yeah, and add pressure to it. Oh yeah. Like maybe if I, if like we were financially secure, maybe it would be like, this is fun money. But when you feel like, you need that money for groceries and you're like, I just need to buy some more beads so that maybe I could make money at this next craft fair. That makes it different. Oh, did I stop it early enough? It'd be nice. I tend to over pour paint. But most of my paints that I'm using right now, I've had for a really long time. So they're chunky, they're funky, but they're pretty. They still work. And I'm not selling this stuff, so it's just for me. Do I want to paint on that side? Nope. I want to paint on this side. Okay, I'm just going to stick a color down. Woo. So do you have any other hobbies you enjoy? I feel like I should be letting you crochet. I'm like, you're like, I didn't mean to talk. And I'm like, talk to me. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I'm kind of in a goofy mood just because it's been such a tough week. So I feel like my brain is all over the place. Oh man, yesterday I had to go into work late. And honestly, if I could have just done like regular work stuff, it would have been fine. But we had this meeting that I really needed to be there for. And the head of my department was like, why are you here? Go home. And I'm like, we have this important meeting. And she's like, well, it's fine. And I'm like, no, I'll do it. I need to be here. And I don't think I did a bad job. And it's not like, it wasn't like in front of like the head honcho of the entire place, but it was still kind of stressful to kind of lead this meeting while I felt so disconnected. And I was like, man, if I could have just gone in and shelved books, it would have been so much better. Just put an audiobook in my head and just focus on the books. But I had to do this meeting. So, oh well. I feel like I'm less frazzled than yesterday. I don't know if that helps your perception of me. That's alright. We all have our days, right? All have our days. Do I think collecting hobbies is one of your hobbies? Mm-hmm. Now, are you collecting yarn? Are you collecting craft supplies? Are you collecting like actual like pop culture collectibles? I used to be more of a collector than I am now, and then I realized how much I don't like dusting and that I have to dust all my stuff, and it made me want to have less stuff. My dad was a collector though, and my son is a collector. I feel like he's gonna be one of those kooky old dudes out in the boonies somewhere with like a shed full of stuff. And maybe like weird sculptures he makes on all his land. So that'll be interesting. Like a dragon hoarding yarn. Crochet, knit, felt, sew, draw traditionally and digitally, paint, 3D print, play video games, and I'm a D&D nerd. Play piano and started learning ukulele. Holy cow! That is a lot on your slate. But I mean, I'm assuming it's on your slate because you enjoy, so that's awesome. And it's funny. Not so terribly surprised to see a lot of like fiber arts, considering you're a knitter and a crocheter. But I also play video games. I've not done 3D printing. It seems like such a lot to make room for. But my mom, when 3D printing started to kind of get a little bit more in the mainstream, like not super mainstream. I have one of those 3D like doodle pens. She got one for me when those first came out, and that was fun. I really need to get it back out and like play with it because it's been a bit since I've played with it. But I don't know. My husband's like, a 3D printer would be cool, and I'm like, I don't even know where the hell we'd put it. But and I used to play piano when I was a kid. I actually had to let go of my childhood piano because we needed the space when we decided to rearrange our whole house. We have a weird shaped house, and the second floor is all kind of connected, and there's a half bath up there. So originally we had our computer room on one end of it, and then we had our living room on the other end, which is why my craft room was in the living room. And then when we rearranged everything, we brought the living room and computer room down, and the boys went upstairs, and my craft room came out here. And my piano was in my living room, and when we were trying to measure for like, okay, where are we going to put couches? Where are we going to put entertainment center and all that? And it's like, and if we leave the piano here, we have to either climb over the couches or have like a 4-inch gap between the couch and the piano. And I hadn't played it in so long that we had to just let it go. And also, I think my son got his ADHD from me. I haven't been diagnosed with the doctor who diagnosed my son. Took a look at me and went, you know that ADHD is usually inherited from one or both of the parents? Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I've been wondering lately if I've got a touch of that, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but there's a lot of things that are attributed to ADHD, and then of course it's the internet, so who knows? I'm not looking as I should be sourcing this information and making sure but I've seen a lot of people talk about qualities of having ADHD, and I'm like, I relate to a lot of that, but I've never been tested for anything like that. But you know, the time we grew up and nobody was really good. I mean, some people, I knew one kid that had ADD, but I don't know if they'd call that ADHD now. I don't know enough. Yeah, I had to fill a questionnaire, and on every question I was like, wait, isn't this how everyone operates? Right? You had to let go of your old piano. Have a digital one now? That's cool. Yeah, I used to play, and then I got way, way, way removed from playing it, and I don't remember the last time I tried to play it. I felt like I was having to reteach myself. And it was kind of depressing because I never got to the point where I felt like I was like riding a bike and I know what I'm doing again. Like I never sat down and got back to that point. So when I had to let it go, I was looking for some old music books. I have some Tori Amos music books, and I used to be able to play a few songs, not awesome or anything, but like, you know, a couple of them I could do pretty good. And I was looking for those books, and I couldn't find them, and I couldn't find them, and I couldn't find them. And I even messaged my best friend from high school and was like, did I happen to give you my old Tory books? And she was like, I don't think so. And even looked around for a bit, and then by the time I found them, the piano was gone. So it's kind of a bummer. Takes a while, but the muscle memory comes back slowly. Had several years when you didn't play too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I miss having the opportunity to try and like kind of plunk my way through some of those songs. Because I actually, there were a couple of songs that I taught myself to sing and play. Not that I'm like the greatest singer either, but I was really proud of being able to figure out how to play it. Because playing and singing together is tough. I think some people, well, practice. Better at it than others, but obviously lots of practice has to go into it too. I'm just going to paint a giant spot. Can't tell if that's like my child and my husband talking or if that's the television. I'm probably like a dog. What is that? I think I'm gonna have to play Dreamlight Valley on Sunday, though. I really wanted to play it tonight, but that's just not how it played out. And when you know you need a certain activity for comfort, you just gotta kind of accept it, I think. Gotta let go of being stubborn about, I really need to do XYZ. No, you really need to do something for some self-care. And so tonight's self-care was painting. I actually saw somebody else that I watched streaming Dreamlight Valley, and she's like, the new Star Path is out, and I'm like, God damn it, I can't watch your stream right now then. I can't even go in. I thought about going in and going, hi, I can't stay because you're playing this game and I don't want any spoilers or nothing. That, and I need to sit down and watch Princess and the Frog because I've never seen Princess and the Frog. Oh, this spot ended up being a lot bigger than I meant it to be. Oh well. It won't matter in the end. It won't matter in the end. Okay. That, and I like this color a lot. It's like a periwinkle. Oof. Oh, now my foot's falling asleep. That's no good. Wow, that was a really big spot. I didn't mean to be. Okay. Just pick a spot, woman. It's not that complicated. Welcome to my show where I chastise myself periodically. That's alright. I verbalize a lot of that stuff. Sometimes it's to keep my brain on track, and sometimes it's, you know, just like I started doing that when I was shopping with my son because my son's a collector, but we can't take everything home either because of financial restrictions or just we really can't take everything home. Like, please stop taking everything home. So when we shop together and I like something, even if I pick it up or even if I consider putting it in the cart, I will sit there and I'll be like, this is cool, this is nice, what do you think? And then I'll go, but I don't need it, and I put it back. And I do that partially for myself, but also partially for him to kind of learn how to not necessarily have to bring it all home. It's like a blessing and a curse to not have a ton of space for stuff. Because even though it'd be nice to have more room, there'd be more room for more crap. And I don't need help having more crap. I don't need that. I have to start going through my basement next year. I don't want it. But I don't have anybody else that will decide to take care of it but me, so yay. Oh, you do that too. Might even put it in the cart and then look at it and go, but do I really need it? Yep. And usually the answer is no. I don't need it. Although I think I'm gonna have to buy a fog machine this year. Our favorite holiday, well, it might be a tie. Christmas and Halloween might be tied for favorite holiday, but if I had to pick, it'd be Halloween. And if I had to pick one holiday to decorate for, it'd be Halloween. So every year we have a budget for like costumes and then new things to go with our decorations. And we've been working on building out a graveyard in our front yard. And we've been looking at the low-lying fog machines to give it that creepy, eerie vibe. And I think we might it might be the only thing we get this year. If I can get it inexpensive. Spirit Halloween has already opened up in my area, so I don't remember what we're doing, but we were driving around and I was like, holy shit! And the kids are like, what? And I'm like driving as I'm pointing, like, we're going over there right now. But yeah, that's one of those things. Is this color? It's a different color. Did I paint this one already? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Well, I'll pick one I know doesn't have it on there. Alright. It's a blues already. But, we've been talking about it for a while. So we've got several gravestones, and actually, I don't know. Yeah, I love seeing this Halloween direction, have people make an effort for it. You don't celebrate. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's lots of people that really do it up. You could just do it. You could be like, I feel like I'm getting spooky season vibes. I'm trying to like do Halloween. Make it a thing in Finland. You can start the trend. But, found some really cheap, no, we found them at like a dollar store. Like they were really cheap little tombstones. And my son's like, well, we could try and make them work. And I'm like, I don't know, man, they're so flimsy. I found these they're like little gates for like little garden areas, but they're meant to keep like little dogs and stuff out of your little gardens. And I just took some black wire and just wrapped them on the back side of the tombstones, and then I can just stick them straight in the ground, and then they pulled out really easy. I'm like, this is genius. But in daylight, you can still kind of notice the fence, the little metal fences. So I'm kind of hoping a fog machine might hide them. And then we made a graveyard fence out of an actual old fence. Some boards from my parents. My parents have horses, and they were repairing their fence, and I'd seen, I think it was probably something on YouTube where somebody had made their own graveyard fence out of worn out, boards. I think they took a pallet apart or something. But I was like, hey, do you happen to have any old boards? And they were like, yes, because they had just done it. And they turned out awesome. They're just a bitch to put in the ground because they're actual, decent wood. They're not just decoration. And I'm not digging an actual fence. But I put, hooks on them on the back so that we can just put the cross beams on. But then when we take it apart, it comes all apart and then can get put away really easily. I have a spider living on them right now, though. It has started to make its way here, too, so people do go out and party in costumes and all that, but not really outdoor decorations yet. See? And there's all kinds of stuff. My son has actually had more opinions, because I'm like, this is a cool decoration, and that's a cool decoration. I want, there's, little zombie babies that I want. And, he's like, that doesn't really fit our graveyard theme. And I'm like, but they could. And he's like, I don't know. And then there were like spiders. And he's like, I don't know about that fitting our theme. And I'm like, we could just make it fit because it's cool. He's trying to parent me. Maybe he is learning something about moderation and collecting things.
What are you doing, man? Are we gonna kick a beat or what?
We're gonna kick the beat.
Maybe. Well, and he started to give up stuff. He's he'll be 14 soon. Damn. But he's about the age that I was when I started getting rid of like my Barbies and, you know, my little kid stuff. So I'm not surprised he's there. I'm a little surprised just because he is such a collector, but he has to make room for stuff. The zombies are living dead, and where the dead people hang out. Graveyard, yeah. We can make up reasoning. And I was like, spiders would build cobwebs all over gravestones and fences? Like that? See? I'm gonna tell them that somebody in Finland agreed with me then. We've decided that it's an acceptable, you know, leap of logic right there. And then he'll give me, you know, a teenage look and sigh. Mom. Spiders live everywhere, especially graveyards. See? Exactly. Yeah, we attempted a homemade ghost decoration last year that didn't go well, but we still have the components. What we'd seen was somebody taken cheesecloth and like a skull, like a plastic skull, and then made a hanging ghost out of it, and ours just looked like we hung up a sheet. Like, it looked so terrible. So I think we're gonna have to try and figure out how to make like some kind of form so that the cheesecloth is kind of spread out a little bit more. I might have to look up some, like maybe I can find more than one or two examples to see if there's like some better ideas. Because it looked, I mean, it could have looked worse, I suppose, but it looked pretty bad. And I was too lazy to take it down once we put it up. I'm like, fuck it. The teenage side-eye. Yep. Oh man, he gave us a quintessential sigh earlier and was like, I heard that. I don't remember what we were asking him to do. Probably a chore of some sort. Like take a... Oh no, I think it might have been take a shower. I can't wait till he just... Well, that's a mixed bag because if he wants to take more showers more often, that could mean other things. So we'll just not. Goodness. Parenting is weird. I mean, I guess life is weird, so it makes sense that parenting is also weird. Oh my. Really need to get back into a rhythm of painting a little bit more while I'm off stream. This is going to take forever, and it'll take even longer if I keep taking days, you know, like multiple days off of doing it. Well, it's up there, so it lives there now. Yeah. Parenting is so weird. Agreed. I high-five the kiddo's dad every birthday. Hey, we managed to keep him alive yet another year. Yep. Congrats. good, though. It's challenging, and you say weird things, but, like, things you never thought you would say out loud or even think. But then you also get to giggle with the people that you made as they grow up. Like, I don't remember, there was something that we were just giggling like fools at the other day, and it was like, this is what it's all about, man. We co-parent, but the kid lives with me and spends every other weekend with his dad since he lives quite far away in a different city, so pretty much single parenting. Yeah, single parenting's a tough gig. I do not envy that journey, but, you know, it's amazing. I would just be so tired all the time. Like, my cousin's doing pretty awesome. I think sometimes she doubts it, not when it comes to her kids, but just like taking care of everything. But she was in a relationship, but I don't know how, like, helpful he was. They're not together anymore, but she's also been working on getting her master's degree, and her oldest just turned 21 and her youngest just turned 14, and she's been, you know, taking care of her house and had 2 jobs and going to school, and I'm just like, I would just die. I mean, when you're in the situation, you've got to do it, you know. Most of the time you'll figure out a way to make it fucking happen, but, you know, she talks about not feeling like she's doing enough, and I'm thinking, oh my god, you're doing so much. Like, but I know her kids appreciate it, so that makes it worth it. She's actually ended up, I think she left her job, but she's been miserable there for a while, but she's having to figure out how to make it work, you know? So we were doing a regular game night, and she's like, I'm gonna have to take a break from doing that for a while I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do about this work situation. And I was like, alright, you know, like, I get it, you know. I can't remember if she's graduating. I think she might be graduating in the spring. So yeah, he has my sense of humor. It's a blessing and a curse. Right? Yeah, there's nothing quite like your kid throwing something out at you and you realize it is you. And usually it's the shit that annoys you the most, or it can be funny. Like, my son also shares both of our senses of humor. But yeah, the things that drive me the most bananas are shit I know that he got from me. And then, like, second place is the shit that he got from his dad. And then we just laugh at each other and it's like, you know he got that from you, right? Like, shut up. Yeah, I wonder if this got in some yellow paint. I mean, I kind of like it, but I was like, did I scratch it? But it's yellow. That would be a weird scratch. Okay, this can go here. I was like, this can go here because it's next to this green, and it wasn't next to this green, and then I realized it is next to this purple. Oh well. The reminder is that we're cutting it all apart anyway, and it won't even really matter. You know what I should do is I should find the dude that inspired the circle idea, and then get the lady that inspired the painting idea and put them somewhere to tie them into this project, because I did take inspiration from at least 2 people that I know of, and probably who knows how many other people that I have encountered along the way and forgot that they've influenced my brain for this project, because that's how it goes. Yeah, it can be chaotic at times, and every day I wonder how the fuck do people do this and not feel exhausted. But yeah, I work full-time, have to parent for 2. I did get a degree in economics and marketing, powered through the school in 1 is at 1.5 years. Was supposed to be a 3-year thing. Damn. Trooper. Well, that sounds amazing. But yeah, it's almost kind of like that same idea of like, if your kid is in danger, you can lift a car. I feel like that kind of is what happens when you just get into that survival mode of I've got to get through this shit. I've got to make sure I take care of things. And just, even though it's probably stressful at the time, and even though you're registering it as being difficult, like looking back, you're like, holy crap, I did that stuff. What the hell? Like looking back and remembering that I used to work three jobs and 7 days a week. And that was at a time when we found out my husband was sick. And then we found out he had to have surgery. And then there was like all these layers to how, like the overwhelm and the exhaustion and the financial stress of it all. And it's just looking back, it's like, I feel like I'm like living a completely different, I am kind of living a completely different life than I was back then, but it's just kind of weird to look back and be like, man, I made it through all that crap. Struggle with the feelings of not being enough on every aspect of life. It was I don't have time for this shit. Looking back and feeling, and it's like, how the fuck did we even manage? Yeah. But somehow we're here. Stress autopilot mode. Oh, I just saw a freaking meme. Okay, have you seen, I want to say it's like the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie where he's part of like the Navy, like the British Navy or whatever, but he's like hunting down Jack Sparrow and he's like a big douche. And at one point, I think it's probably near the end of the movie because it's been a while since I've seen it, so forgive me if I'm not describing it very well. But like his entire ship is getting destroyed and it's in this slow motion and he's just like walking down the stairs as everything's just flying and getting destroyed around him. And the caption on it was something like, when procrastination is no longer an option and you just kick into get shit done mode or something like that. And it's just like, yeah. That is exactly, it's just like, I guess we're just in the zone now. And for years, it's not like it's even over in like the span of a day or anything. It's years. And then you look back and you're like, I never thought it was going to end at the time, but we just, like, gotta stick it out and see where we get, because you never know when things are gonna start to change. You never know when an opportunity is gonna present itself. You never know when the shift will occur in either direction. So keep going, right? And then savor the little moments. Savor those stupid little jokes. Savor the eye rolls, Even if you can't savor them in the moment that they happen, you can still look back and be like, yeah, that was still going on. And my friend looked at me yesterday because it's been a tough week for them too, and she was just like, just keep swimming. Like, yep. That's what it is. Because you just never know. Man, what time is it? Okay, we're doing okay though. At first I thought I'd really got on too long, and it's only about 20 minutes late, but that's okay, because I don't mind. I go late all the time. If everything is shit, you can wonder how low can I go and treat it like it's a limbo contest. Yeah. Another movie reference. If you can't tell, I'm a pop culture nerd. So Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump going, raging, like, call this a storm? My husband did that. Yeah, is that all you got? Right. My husband and I went to a Renaissance fair once, and it started pouring rain, and we made it back to the car. We were freaking soaking wet, and he started just doing the whole Lieutenant Dan, like raging at the storm. In like 30 minutes, the storm cleared up, and we went back to the Renaissance Festival. It was quite comical and apparently effective. So there you go. Okay, I'm overthinking things. Just a quick reminder, I'm overthinking things. I think my son might be doing some scarier movies this year. We tried to do some classics last year. And we watched Friday the 13th. And I forgot how much I really didn't care for Friday the 13th. And I was like, and my son was like, is this what this is? And I was like, yeah. Because I've only seen the first one, and Freddy vs. Jason. But I forgot, like, it's, as much as it was, you know, big at the time and it spurred a whole franchise and there's like all this, you know, weight to its moment in horror movie history, like looking back on it, like there's a lot of tropes that come from the don't have sex and the, you know, just watching. I know that it was like at the time it was a big deal. I feel like I need to finish the thought. Okay. Like there's a lot of shots where they're like moving towards the victim and the victim is just like, it's just like, what are you doing? What's that? Do that. But, you know, so we watched that and my son was like, okay, that was fine. Because I'm trying to get him like through some of the classics, so that he has context for some of the stuff that's very, like, references a lot of that stuff. Like, I feel like he really can't watch Scream until he's seen at least a few of the, you know, like, the first Freddy, the first Jason, the first all that. Not that he has to watch the whole franchise or anything of any of those. Michael Myers. And then we tried to watch Halloween, and I did it when I was too tired, and I fell asleep, and then he left the room. So I'm torn about trying to make him sit through another one. I really do want to let him sit through A Nightmare on Elm Street. And part of it's because I am partial to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Because I didn't see Halloween or Friday the 13th when I was young. But I saw all of the Freddy movies. And Freddy and Hellraiser, which I got to see those because my friend got to watch those, and so I would stay at her house, and then her mom would let us watch scary movies all the damn time. But, I remember Freddy freaking me out as a kid, because the concept of not being able to go to sleep, like, you have to go to sleep. Sometime your body will eventually give out. And you can't, there's not enough drugs, there's not enough caffeine, there's not enough any of that to keep you awake forever. So he will eventually get you. So I think we might do Friday the 13th. And then he might be able to go ahead and do Scream. I'm trying to think if there's like any other major thing he needs to see. Because I think he'll really enjoy Scream. And then we'll see where he's at. You remember them being better than they actually are. Oh, the attack. Yeah, the attack scenes. Cut to the murderer, cut to the victim, back to the murderer, and back to the... Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just... I remember... Like, the first time I ever watched it being like, eh. And then watching it again, I was like, oh, that's why I was like, eh. Like the main girl, there's a scene that she does where it's just like you're barricading the door and then you're standing in front of the window. Like they could come through the window. What are you doing? And then when they don't take the murderer out, like they hit them and then run, or hit them and then drop their own weapon and then run, or hit them and don't take the murderer's weapon and then run. Anyway, there's a whole... I think all of that happens in Friday the 13th, the first one. Anyway. So yeah, my son going, what's the big deal? Was like, yeah, you're right. I'm kind of curious to see if there's like things I'm not remembering accurately from Nightmare on Elm Street. Like remembering it's better than what it was. I feel like I've watched it as an adult though. Now, some of the later ones, that's a different story. But the first Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like it'll still be holding up. What year did that come out? I was little when that, I mean, not little, but like young enough that I was still in elementary school. And it was a big deal when it came out. And there was like there was a song that was on the radio. And I just remember the concept of Freddy freaking me out before I ever saw it. But when I actually got around to watching it, it didn't bother me. Just like when it was first coming out, because I was too young to watch it when it first came out. How much paint do I have left? There's a little bit of a goober in there. This might be the last one. I feel like I'm doing the Night at the Roxbury. Okay. Don't overthink it. Stop. That's another thing I should have. I should have a reference to don't overthink it. So when I am sitting here overthinking it, someone can hit a little button that says, don't overthink it. That would have to go back to the research for how to make audio things. That is not a priority right now, though. Then you guys could tell me. When I'm starting to just stare blankly and not make a decision, don't overthink it. Okay. Do I have enough for one more little square on something? I think I might. Uh-oh. The only real problem with getting a little silly and tired is that I forget I'm not wearing my paint covering my dress, and I'm still wearing a nice shirt. Because this is my work shirt that I wore today. I did not feel like dealing with changing my top, and then I didn't put my paint dress on. Yeah. Snap out of it! I usually take a break at about an hour and a half to 2 hours, somewhere in there, because my streams are usually about 3 hours long. But, you know, I was on a roll and I needed distraction, so this was working. So, is anything I learned back in my day when I was in art school, like 15 to 18, is take breaks from painting and drawing? Yeah, when you blind to your own work when you've been staring at it for too long? Exactly. Yeah, and it's kind of like, you'll even sit there and like try and blink and you still can't see what you're doing. I think I actually do need to flip that. But I need to use up this paint, so we'll use up the paint and then we'll wrap up the stream. So, I mentioned earlier that I like to organize. And I have been organizing for a very long time. Like, I remember organizing toys at the realtor's office when I was 4. Because that's when my parents moved from the house that I was, not born in, but like the house they were living in when I was born, to the house that I was in for the rest of my time living with my parents. And so I know I was 4, but I can still see the box of toys, and I can still see how I had them organized. Not like the specific toys, but just like what the overall thing looked like when I was done. And I remember organizing toys at the dentist's office. There was a Teddy Ruxpin there. And I remember thinking, wow, it's a Teddy Ruxpin! Because I didn't have one of those. And they were all over the commercials, but I have organized things and then years later reorganized things, and every time I do it I'm always like, what the hell was I thinking? This was crap organization. And I just got to this piece and I realized that I had left this little weird strip here, and I'm like, why the hell would I do that? And I was like, you're bitching at yourself from like probably 2 weeks ago. You can't have made like that much of a difference in your aesthetic choices in those 2 weeks, and yet here you are like annoyed that you did it. Like, we're our own worst critics in the weirdest ways. So, yeah, you know something's right, but you can't see it. Wow, I must organize. Yeah. Well, and I used to love to sort my Legos, and I used to love to sort seed beads. And I would have my friend look at me and just be like, what the hell are you doing? I don't understand. I could do this for hours. Oh, no, paper first. Can't waste the paint. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but there's some really interesting spots happening on it. There's a lot going on right in here that I really, really like. Maybe I should practice taking pictures of this thing. I'm terrible at photography. It's one of the drawbacks to like learning how to do thumbnails and stuff. I'm just like, I just need to figure it out. I just need to sit down and just take a million freaking pictures and then try and figure out which ones are better and go from there. That's what I, for my YouTube thumbnail, I just took pictures of my desktop. That sounds like a computer thing. This desktop. Because I love it. And it's interesting. Although I did notice that after I took the pictures, I realized there's some really ugly spots that I can't, like, avoid. Like, there's brown stuff happening through here. And, like, there's a lot of really muddled stuff happening over here. And it's just because of the projects I was working on at the time. Just, there was a lot of paint going on the same spot. So even though, like, there's orange up here and, like, red over here, they were mixing badly in the middle, and, like, green. So, like, the middle got very, very brown, even though surrounding it is lots of color. But that's what the blur effect is for. Hiding the yucky. Alright. So I don't frequently raid. Raiding gives me anxiety, but I am willing to do so if you have a place that you would like to be directed to, or a suggestion. Sometimes when I will say the only times I have ever raided, I have raided a channel called Ferret Software, because I feel like it's a very peaceful transition, and then there's not a lot of stress. to go there. But gonna go pick up the kiddo from school. Okay, cool. I always feel weird. I'm like, should I do it? It stresses me out because I feel like very awkward. Even though, like, I understand, like, the positive benefits to rating and, like, the social aspect and all that. Like, I really like that stuff, but I am more comfortable, like, talking like this or being face-to-face than I am interacting online and, like, via text and stuff, which is kind of the opposite of a lot of people's social anxiety. So I will work through it. But for now, I am still weird, I guess, and also tired. So it was lovely hanging out with you. Thank you so much for being here. And if there are any lurkers still about, I plan on being here on Sunday midday for where I'm at. I'm pretty sure the schedule shows it in your time if you decide you want to come hang out. And I'm probably going to do Dreamlight Valley just because I should, and I'm really excited about the new Star Path and all the stuff. But I think I'll be better by then. I think my week will have evened out and I'll have had enough rest and enough time to feel like going back to what I expect to be doing. But if not, I'll be painting. So, or something. I reserve the right to change my mind and be fickle. So, take a break from the crochet, shoo him to school, and then come back to find some other place to body double. Nice to meet you too. Yeah. Thank you for hanging out. And, yeah, I hope you come visit again. So, have a lovely day, night time, wherever you are, whenever you are. And I will see you next time.